If you think it's time to take a hammer to your bathroom scale and rip up the diet rulebook, well, welcome to Body Kindness. Hi, everyone. It's Rebecca Scritchfield, author of Body Kindness and host for this podcast. I'm a health at every size dietitian, a certified exercise physiologist, a former chronic dieter, and mom to 2 girls. Join me as I talk to guests about what it means to be good to ourselves and create a better life where well-being matters, not weight. Through these conversations, we'll reveal the challenging and surprising ways our culture keeps us searching for our worth and our appearance. So let's create a new view of health that's inclusive and built on compassion and respect for all bodies. Let's shake things up and let's change the game.
I never wanted to stand out. I was just trying to fit in.
People like pretty things. You're not a thing.
That's me, Plum Kettle. Working for the country's biggest beauty magazine.
Dear Kitty, losing weight is impossible.
I used to make my hair look dry and unhealthy.
I answer letters to the picture-perfect editor, Kitty Montgomery.
Plum, I always forget what beautiful eyes you have.
But a crazy thing happened on the way to becoming my best self.
Are you following me?
I want you to go see someone.
Maybe it's the people who judge you who need to change.
Well, good luck with that.
You think it's impossible?
I think it would take a revolution.
Because I felt that women tend to turn their anger inward towards themselves, which I think anger for women often manifests as self-hatred. And I think that part of that is the body and weight obsession of like hating yourself. It's just a way to, I mean, this is just my thinking of it, but it's just a way to kind of deal with the anger of the sexism in our society. It's easier to turn it inward because there are so many taboos for women to turn your anger outward. And so I really wanted to write about that because I felt there was so much anger that women were suppressing. And I wanted to write in the book about this terrorist group.
That was the trailer for the new show Dietland on AMC, premiering on June 4th. Dietland is a wickedly funny and extraordinarily timed satire about Plum Kettle, a ghostwriter for the editor of one of New York's hottest fashion magazines. Equal parts revenge fantasy and heartfelt journey to self-acceptance, Dietland, which is based on Sarai Walker's 2015 best-selling and critically acclaimed novel of the same name, is a darkly comedic story that explores a multitude of issues faced by women today, including patriarchy, misogyny, rape culture, and unrealistic beauty standards. And I am so thrilled to have had the opportunity to talk to the author of Dietland, Sarai Walker, and I am so excited to bring you this podcast. Sarai's essays have appeared in the New York Times, The Guardian, and The Washington Post. She's worked as a writer and editor on the 2015 update of Our Bodies, Ourselves, and previously wrote for magazines including 17 and Mademoiselle. She has an MFA in creative writing from Bennington College and a PhD in English from the University of London. She's taught writing and literature at several universities, and her current projects are living in LA, wrapping up the work on Dietland, which you'll hear a little bit more about her role. And she's also working on a TV pilot and working on a second novel, which she says is even more bonkers than her first one. So be sure to check out her website at saraiwalker.com. And be sure to check out Dietland on AMC. Hey listeners, did you know that you can now get a free 4-week coaching program from me? It's called the Scale Smash Challenge. Doesn't that sound like amazing? Now, it's not just that hunk of metal and plastic and glass that you might be thinking of, but there are plenty of ways we judge ourselves, our appearance, our worth, our bodies, all those things, our worthiness. And that's what the Scale Smash Challenge is all about. It's absolutely free. The coaching comes right to your inbox. You're going to get journaling prompts, reflections, and more resources. To check this out, see if it's for you, it's bodykindnessbook.com/BK Scale Smash. That's bodykindnessbook.com/BK Scale Smash. And don't forget to join our Facebook group. Just search Body Kindness Podcast. You'll find it there. And we'd love to have you in the free Facebook group to talk about the shows or maybe other things that are going on with your body kindness practice. And before I go into the show for today, if you can support the production costs, That would be so appreciated. We'll thank you on a future episode and also recognize you as a podcast supporter on the website. So the page for that is gofundme.com/bodykindness. That's gofundme.com/bodykindness. And there you'll learn a little bit of the backstory about the expenses and the funds that we're trying to raise to keep the show on the air 3 to 4 times a month. Sarai, welcome to Body Kindness. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Well, you are the author of one of my favorite books. And I got to tell you, I normally just read like nonfiction, like help me be a better parent, person, human in society. But I was hooked on your novel, Dietland. And it's one of my favorites. I recommend it to all my clients. I love the story.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really, and it really, I mean, it was really a trailblazing novel to bring out power and liberation. And if I dare say, kind of these 2 middle fingers to diet culture, really. And so the book is called Dietland. And I would love to know a little bit more about the book and also some exciting news you have to share about what's happening with it.
Yeah. Okay. So the book is about a woman named Plum, and I like that it calls to mind something kind of round and succulent and sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And she's around 30, and she's been fat her whole life, and she's getting ready to have weight loss surgery. She's been on every diet, and she loses weight and then gains back even more. The kind of typical experience with traditional dieting methods. So she's getting ready to have weight loss surgery because she thinks that her real life will begin once she's thin. She's kind of bought into this ideology that inside every fat person is a thin person waiting to get out. And she wants to liberate her inner thin person that she thinks is there. But as the novel starts, she kind of notices that this strange young woman is following her around. And I kind of play with the idea of Wonderland, Dietland, Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
And she ends up kind of going down the metaphorical rabbit hole. And she meets this underground feminist group. And then there's this guerrilla group that's attacking misogynists, violently, killing rapists, a vigilante group. So she goes into this whole other kind of crazy world. And it really makes her reevaluate, like, what does it mean to be a woman, and why do I want to be thin, and what is that really about? It just changes her whole life. That's kind of how I would summarize the novel.
Before reading Dietland, like I never felt kind of like strong, like that I should be standing up and rejecting these ideas. So was that part of your inspiration to maybe give women some tools to be like, why are we driving ourselves crazy around our bodies?
Yeah, I think that kind of came while I was writing it. I was doing a PhD that focused a lot on gender and literature, and I started to think about femininity and femininity of the body, and how we train ourselves to be these, pretty little feminine objects, and all the work
Dainty
that goes
flowers.
into that. Exactly. Just the appearance and the body size and hair and makeup and clothes and anti-aging and all of that, which just kind of shapes us so much as women. And a lot of times, we just don't question it because it becomes what it is to be a woman. If you tell women, well, let's stop wearing makeup and doing our hair and dressing a certain way and blah, blah, blah. It's kind of like, well, who am I then kind of thing. So it's rather than being something kind of superficial, I think it's something that's very deeply ingrained in us, and it's part of our social conditioning of what it means to be a woman. Mm-hmm. And when you take that away, it kind of creates this existential crisis of like, who am I and what am I? And I think for Plum, she has the additional aspect that she's fat. So you can never be the ideal woman if you're fat. Mm-hmm. And so for her, wanting to be thin, it's almost like wanting to be a real woman. A lot of times women who are fat, I think, feel excluded from our traditional notions of womanhood and what it means to be a woman. Mm-hmm. And she feels like in order to achieve that, she has to have a certain type of body. And so when you take that away, say, okay, well, you're not going to become thin, you're going to stay fat. well, then what does it mean for me to be a woman if I am fat? So, I mean, these are very, very complex issues, and they're usually something that's written about more in, academic work and feminist analysis. So it was interesting to write about it in a novel in that form. That was a very big challenge of how do I write about something like that in a novel form.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that when I started, because I'm a fat woman and I've always been fat, and I wanted to write a novel about, what is it really like to be fat? Because so many novels about fat women are like, well, I lost weight and found my true love, that kind of thing. Like you always have to lose weight. So I wanted to write kind of a more serious novel about being fat. But I said to myself, well, why are fat women so hated? That's where I had to start with. And I didn't know the answer to that question. And so the process of writing the book was thinking about that and figuring that out. And a lot of those issues of femininity and the things we were just talking about came into it. That was part of it. So it was, when I started writing the book, I wasn't involved in fat acceptance. I know a lot of people find it hard to believe, but
You
I
kind of
changed a lot while I
accidentally
was
fell
writing
in that.
it.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
oh no. Speaking of who am I, who is Sarai?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it mirrored that a little bit, my own experience. So I changed a lot as Plum changed. It was very life changing in that way. So it was, so it was, an interesting experience writing a novel. I hope my other novels aren't going to be like that.
Like that much emotional labor, I got to imagine, right?
Yeah. It was very draining. Like people always ask me, I bet it was so fun to write. And I just like, it was actually like hell pretty much every day. I hate to say that, but
and I encourage you to write, but it sucked.
It's dark. It's a dark, I mean, it's funny, it has humor in it, but it's, as a reader, right, you breeze through,
right.
How long does it take you to read 5 pages? Just like a couple minutes. But as a writer, that takes a long time just to write that. So we're dwelling in that world for much, much longer, for years, whereas you're reading it in a week, so.
That's true. Well, and I got to imagine that as you were evolving, as you were writing and doing the work, you had to have felt some amount of pressure or responsibility for I want to get this right because this could go really wrong, but I want to get it right because I really want to help women and help liberate them and help wake culture up.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard because when you have a story about somebody who's a marginalized person and people that we don't often see in books and TV show and movies, there's a lot of pressure that person has to represent everybody from that group, which is just really not possible. I mean, fat women are just like every other group of women. There's complexity and everyone's different. And, there's no monolith in terms of thinking and experience. So it was tricky in that way. So I had to think as a writer, I was just like, I'm creating this specific character and she represents herself. I know that her experience will speak to other women and some things about her they can relate to and maybe some that they can't. But she has to be a very specific person, not just kind of this generic type, because a novel really can't work that way. So I was aware of that that's impossible to write the kind of every fat woman character,
Right. So you got, pick something and go with it and trust that it, in the end, you're going to create something that is powerful and useful and for many people, including myself, very much life-changing.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, so many things influence the experience of being fat, gender and race and social class and just, everything. So it's a very complex experience that intersects with lots of other things.
So at what point in your writing, you pour your coffee or tea or whatnot and kicked up your feet and said, I know one day AMC is going to turn this into a TV show.
Well, I did. The funny thing is I never thought it would be a TV show. Like that never occurred to me ever. I thought a film maybe. But, TV has changed so much in recent years with all the streaming and everything. And there's so many more outlets for shows. And so there's this real hunger for lots of TV shows, and lots of novelists are having their books turned into TV shows much more, I think, than in the past. So it never crossed my mind ever. I thought maybe a movie, but I thought is Hollywood going to make a movie about a 300-pound woman? I doubt it. And then before the book came out, like the galleys were circulating and, people started contacting them. They were almost all from TV, saying this would make a great TV series. And I was just, my mind was blown. I'd never, ever, ever thought of that before. So it was a very strange experience. And I think TV people were much more open to a fat character. I think in film, that's a lot harder. So it was clear that TV was much friendlier to a fat female character than movies would ever be.
Mm-hmm. Well, and just in this day and age, we lack visibility so much that it's like we've got to make the inroads. There should be a million TV shows and movies and everywhere we can get more equality with respect to visibility among, size and gender and race and sexual orientation, all the ways in which we are othered and we just keep kind of showing this singular character. We need to be busting that up. So, and for my own benefit as a TV watcher, I'm super excited, but just for, everyone's benefit to find power in life, and in entertainment. And I do believe that the entertainment will translate into helping spread some important messages. At least that's my hope.
I definitely think so. I think that we have to see, like the people on TV and in popular culture should reflect the reality of people, in the world. They currently don't, of course. It's just a very narrow slice of people that we see. So I do think that shows, like this, can expand people's minds about different types of bodies and make people perhaps more accepting of different types of people than they have been in the past. I really do think that it has the power to do that, especially with TV. It's so intimate, and it's really, it's 10 episodes the first season, which is, think about it. A film would be like 2 hours. So this is like almost 10 hours. So it gives you a lot more time and kind of binge it and, and go into that world. And so I think people develop these kind of closer relationships with TV characters sometimes, particularly if they like the character. So I think there's some real power there with Plum. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the females who are leading the show. What can you tell us about who's involved and just any sort of, I guess, maybe like backstory excitement that you might know about as a consultant for the show? I'm sure you had such a unique experience as it was all coming together.
So all TV shows have writers' rooms. So they have a writing staff. So Dietland probably had 7 writers on staff. So they really just go into a room, hence the term writer's room. And they basically outline every episode. So, it depends how many episodes there are for how long the writer's room goes on. This writer's room went on for total of probably 5 or 6 months. So it's a long period of time. And everybody works together to outline each episode. And they have all these whiteboards all over the room. For every episode has its own whiteboard, all these outlines and everything that's going to happen. And so everyone works together to break down each episode. And then different writers are assigned to write each one. So I was a consultant. So I went into the writer's room. I didn't write a script. But yeah, so I got to kind of help shape it. I got to help shape the show and the story. And that was great, and also just to be there as a fat person, to have that input on that aspect of it and everything. So it was great. I think, it's Marty Noxon's show. So ultimately all of it's her decisions and, her ultimate way that she wants to shape it. But I was really glad that I got to contribute to it because that's not really the norm. A lot of times, if you're an author, they buy your book, send you a check. They're like, see you later.
We're going to do whatever we want to your blessed part.
Yes. It's like, here, your main character is going to be played by Gwyneth Paltrow in a fat suit. Have a nice day.
Were you kind of panicking at any certain point, or did you, when it was all, I got to imagine that having negotiating power on the author side isn't exactly the strong suit when you really want to get something on TV, but were there certain things that you were like, yeah, they're deal breakers?
Well, it's weird because as an author, particularly an unknown author, right? I'm not like J.K. Rowling or something. It's just little old me. So, when you have multiple people interested in making the show, then you talk to all these different people and you get their ideas. And so I asked them, it's for sure going to be a fat woman playing the part. And And everybody said yes, but once you sign and on the dotted line, they can do whatever they want. That's the reality. So you have to really have trust in that person that you pick to say that they're going to do what they said they were going to do, which is what, luckily what happened in this case, and that we do have Joy Nash playing Plum. And,
I love her. I love her. I was saying,
isn't she great?
I just love her. And I mean, I swear, every time you made a different announcement on your Facebook page, it was like a little Christmas present for me or something. I was like, yay, I can't wait.
Well, it's just, I mean, she was, I'm not sure if you know her videos, those fat rant videos that she did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I'd seen those videos, whatever they were, like 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And
as I said, I wasn't in fat acceptance back then. I was just kind of learning about it. So it was funny that she ended up, being one of the people that kind of helped me on my path, even though I didn't know her, at the time. But I think it's great with Joy because she is a fat activist and she's very fat positive. One of my concerns was that even if we get a fat actress to play Plum, what if she's kind of trash talking fat people and advocating diet culture? I mean, that's a very real possibility, kind of a self-hating fat person. So I was really worried about that. So I think one of the great things about her is not only is she a great actress and just perfect for the part, but she is a fat activist and she has that political, mentality that's needed for the show. And so I think that's just, we were really lucky. I think she was like 1 in a million in that sense to get somebody like that. Because it could really undermine the show if the main star was, saying, "Oh, I wish I was thin and I want to go on a diet." That would have been tricky.
and she is Plum. Like when I've gone back and reread, getting all ready for the release, and I just see her now. Whatever image I had of Plum before is gone, and it's Joy Nash now.
I knew that was going to happen. I was like, "Oh, it's so important to play Plum, and no one will ever think of her as anyone but Joy from now on." Yeah, she has they had her in a wig, so she's wearing the bob that Plum has. I was so glad that they kept that for the book. So well, we have Joy, and then of course Juliana Margulies is playing Kitty, the magazine editor. People who read the book will probably realize Kitty had a much smaller part in the book, but she has a lot bigger role in the TV show. And she's really monstrous, like a fun way. It's like a really fun character. She's just like really mean, and she has all these kind of barbed lines of dialogue. It's great. And Juliana does such a great job of playing her. So I think people are just going to love that.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned that because that was one of my questions in watching the trailers is that it seemed that, I was going back to the book and I was like, I wonder how they're going to evolve this character because it seems like Juliana Margulies is going to have a prominent role in the whole series. So it's very exciting to have read the book and then be thinking about like what's going to be the same or what's going to be different and just kind of watch the entertainment, do its job in making me laugh, but also making me think with respect to what's going on in the present time as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. I mean, it's, in the book, there's a huge cast of female characters. So it's really fun to see that come to life on screen. I mean, the actors are just so amazing. Like Erin Dark is playing Lita, and she just like jumps off the screen. It's just such a great portrayal. And Tamara Tooney, who was in Law and Order SVU, I'm sure a lot of people have seen her in that. She plays Julia. And Robin Wiegert is Verena, and she's just great. I mean, they're just all so great, and they're also kind as well to me. Like I went to visit the set, and they had all read the book, and they were all like hugging me and applauding me. It was like I was like a queen while I was on the set. It was great.
They were asking you for your autograph.
They were. It was funny.
I'm grinning just talking to you, and I'm just trying to imagine that. And I feel like I'd have a sore arm from pinching myself. Like this isn't real. But yet it's very.
It was surreal. Like it really was. I mean, it was surreal. There's no other way to describe it. I mean, I really did sometimes think like, did I accidentally take some LSD? Am I like hallucinating? I mean, I don't know. Is this really happening? It was very weird.
Well, it is.
I mean, it's still just, so mind-boggling.
Yeah, I know. Well, I just can't wait till it's actually here. And yeah, I don't know, because it's from my end, it is like, I don't know, it's just this, it's almost like the rest of the world doesn't know this amazing gift / wake up call they're about to get. And, but it's almost like I can see it as some sort of weird fortune telling capability. So I'm super excited.
Oh, well, that's great. I mean, yeah, TV reaches so many more people, I mean, sadly, it's just the way our world is. So yeah, it's kind of like I feel like, I mean, not to sound egotistical, but I feel like there's this book that I wrote that so many people would love if they knew about it, like more people. It's all, this will introduce more people to it. And so I think that's really one of the upsides for me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's going to be great. So, thinking about just what's been going on in the world, especially the last couple of years, like, do you think that there is something special about kind of the timing of what you were talking about in Dietland and the story behind it and what's actually paralleling in our current lives that is really going to, I guess, almost kind of help viewers really be primed and ready to take this all in? I'm just curious what you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting time for the show to be airing.
Mm-hmm.
It gives it a different context. I think, it was published 3 years ago. And I think in a way it was a little bit ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think what's happening in the culture makes people interpret things differently. So people are going to interpret it differently now, given everything that's happened with the Me Too movement and with the kind of increase in feminism and all of these mass demonstrations that we've had, and just all of this culture that's really kind of radically changed, really in just like a year or a little over a year or a couple of years, I guess. So yeah, it's interesting. I think that people ask me, like, they say, were you like a soothsayer and that you foresaw all this? But I think that one of the things I wanted to write about in Dietland was that I wanted to write about women's anger, because I felt that women tend to turn their anger inward towards themselves, which I think anger for women often manifests as self-hatred. And I think that part of that is the body and weight obsession of like hating yourself. It's just a way to, I mean, this is just my thinking of it, but it's just a way to kind of deal with the anger of the sexism in our society. It's easier to turn it inward because there are so many taboos for women to turn your anger outward. And so I really wanted to write about that because I felt there was so much anger that women were suppressing. And I wanted to write in the book about this terrorist group, Jennifer, and that she turns it outward and just unleashes it, goes on this violent killing spree. And so it's interesting. What we're seeing now, I think, is this unleashing of anger that's always been there, but it's now coming out in different ways, and these huge demonstrations and these political movements. And I think that women are kind of growing a bit more comfortable expressing their anger. And maybe it's because they have more outlets for it because of social media and that sort of thing. So I felt like it was always there and I wanted to write about it. And so now I'm glad that it's kind of exploded a bit more in the culture. So I think it's a really interesting time for this show to air, given what's happening. It makes it seem more relevant. I think when the book was published, I got a lot of people saying, "Oh, why are you so angry? And why is the book so angry?" And I don't know if they would ask that now, but we're published now, which is kind of interesting to think about.
Just be nice, be quiet, be nice.
Yeah, I know. Well, the part of it, I think, is that being angry, this idea that we're taught as women that being angry makes you unattractive, right? I mean, that's a big part of it, talking about the body. It's like it makes you ugly to be angry. So that's part of the taboo against women's anger, I think, which is interesting for those of us who are interested in the body and writing about the body.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's the exact parallel that I picked up on too, is that I remember just evolving from kind of quietly, okay, like maybe you can, like not hate yourself, right? And then, okay, maybe you can accept yourself. And exactly as you said, it was like the sword's pointing inward. And in that way of thinking, you are still the problem. And I'm reading Dietland and about Jennifer and all the killings and stuff. And I'm like, this is awesome. So I love the expression of anger, and it flipped the switch. And that's what I'm seeing much more, even in the literal sense, and body positivity, and even shifting in language from like fat acceptance to like, wait a minute, I don't just want just you to accept me, like it's activism, and it is rights and presence and power and anger. And I do think your novel was way ahead of its time, but that's why I think to have this show coming out with all these pieces coming together, I just think it's really going to make the viewers who needed that voice to say thank you for doing this, and then those who are kind of on the fence, kind of dipping their toe in rejecting dieting and stepping into their power, and like culture and society is to blame, not me. I think it's going to push them exactly in the direction where they need to go for a better life and a better well-being.
Oh, I really hope so. And I think that, it's fun. It's a fun show.
Yeah.
And I think that's needed right now, because every day there's like a new horror story, the new New Yorker article that's detailing some prominent figure that's done all these horrific things to women, or, just constant. And I think this is a show that's channeling that anger, but it's also kind of fun and entertaining as well. So it's kind of like a release in a way, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You get to see these kind of dark fantasies play out. And so it's something that's going to make people think more, but also kind of be a release, I think, to see this represented on screen and in a way that, it's got mystery and adventure and it's fun. So, which is not easy to do with this subject matter, but I think it achieves that. So yeah, so I hope it has that effect.
I definitely think it's going to make a big impact. And it's like, and just hearing you explain, it's like that spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine go down, right? So, this is great to
radical,
watch.
Yeah.
It's going to make me think.
But, for people like us, we're used to thinking about fat positivity and that sort of thing. But to the general public, they don't really know anything about that, I don't think. That's the reaction I get, when I'm talking about it in public.
Yeah.
So to see this fat woman, it's going to be pretty radical.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think still, like when I really think of the dominant culture and I kind of tune out, my sheroes, who are doing great work, and I just think of like, I don't know, my high school friends or something like that. It's like, it's still like in the like curvy, right? So it's like all the right things and all the right places or whatever. And it's like, no. I mean, yes, okay, that's better than saying you're not even allowed to be curvy. But I think that there's a pretty hard limit for dominant culture. And I think it has to do with the visibility, and back to what we were starting in the very beginning, having Joy Nash, having this, round character Plum, and getting to see her consistently and step into a power. And, that is, I mean, I really don't see it anywhere else on television right now. There's always this sort of, I'm still fighting myself, vulnerable, and we should take pity on this character presentation. And I don't think anybody's going to be, feeling sorry for Plum.
Well, I think we like seeing fat people miserable, because it's like, as a culture, it's like, well, that's what you deserve, kind of thing. That's your place. So as long as you stay in your place as the miserable fatty, it's okay. And Plum starts out that way, and then things change. And that's when people, like in the book, a lot of people say, oh, I love the beginning of the book, I don't like what happens later. And well, what happens later, right? She stops being miserable, and that freaks people out. But yeah, I think it's going to unsettle a lot of people and freak people out, which I think is a really good thing.
Yeah. I love when she goes to eat her pie at the diner. That was
right.
Yeah, and she's like, and here's another bite. So without, giving away too much, because we're obviously all going to watch, can you kind of share any of your like most favorite moments, like from the book, in, knowing that it was going to maybe show up in the series, that just was like, oh yes, I'm glad this made it in, or just kind of any little Sarai Walker tidbits of information that maybe most people wouldn't know?
Well, the funny thing is, though, it is like the show is very faithful to the book. it goes beyond the book because it so explores like the Jennifer group more and stuff. Because a TV show like burns up a lot more story. It needs more story to feed it. So it goes beyond the book, but it's very faithful to it. So I've been watching. I think I've seen about 7 episodes so far. I've seen almost all of them, I guess. And so it's fun. Like there's certain parts of the book that I really love the most. So watching them come to life in the TV show has been really cool. Like the makeover that Plum does with Marlo. So she, I won't say this word on your show, but Plum is kind of forced to undergo this makeover to turn her into the perfect object. And she's got to go through all these waxing and beauty treatments. And then at the end, she goes to this plastic surgeon and he kind of writes all over her body. And that was one of my favorite parts of the book. And I just love seeing that come to life on the screen. It was really just moving and to me. And also, it's funny the way that they've done it, but it's powerful too. So that was a real highlight. Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of the book. I think one of the most difficult parts of the book was the blind dates that she goes on. And that's a part I think people, I don't know if you want me to say what it's about. I don't want to ruin anything, but
how about a little
she just goes on this. Yeah, she goes on this series of blind dates. And she is fixed up with these men. They don't know anything about her. They don't know what she looks like. So they don't know that she's fat. So she has like 4 or 5 of these men that come over and I won't say anything more about what their reaction is. But, that's a part of the book that people comment on a lot, that it was very upsetting to them. So it was interesting to see how that played out in the TV show. And I really think it's a bit more detailed and really kind of cool the way that they've done it. So I think that was really great as well. And just so many things. I mean, she quits antidepressants and she's going through these withdrawals, and it's really kind of funny in the show how they've shown that. So a lot of those fun things from the book are weird things they've kept. So it's, if you like the book, I think you're really going to enjoy seeing how it comes to life on the screen.
Yeah, I am just really excited for it. And I'm just excited to follow along with the press and the audience reactions and, just see how this makes a mark in helping us to evolve, the way we think about fellow humans. And, hopefully part of what we'll get out of it is that individuals are not problems and all bodies are beautiful and worthy and amazing. And so, it is desperately needed in our culture to really look inward and evaluate why we put the demands on women and people of size, and why we do so much to make life hard, and at least that's one of my personal hopes kind of on the side of with what I do is that it will translate to some time to reflect and self-evaluate. Is there anything else you can think of what would you want the average viewer to get out of, consuming the show? So we know they're going to laugh. We know they're going to be enthralled in story. How would you like to see them maybe translate what they're picking up into their real lives and their day-to-day lives?
I think one of the things I've learned is that people take wildly different things away from it. Sometimes things I never thought of. But I think there are probably a couple types of viewers that I'm thinking of. So one is the type of women like me who don't get to see themselves represented on screen unless it's like miserable and, your life is hell and, you have to lose weight to have any value in life. So women, like that, and men too, who don't ever see themselves represented. I really hope that it's meaningful to see that experience play out in the TV show. I hope that it's empowering to recognize yourself, I hope, in some way in this character. And, she's the star of a major TV show, and so I'm really excited about that aspect of it. And particularly thinking about, teenage girls seeing it. And, I can't imagine when I was a teenager, I mean, there was nothing like that. Every fat person that was on TV was, again, always hating themselves, always made fun of for being fat. So if this was on when I was a teenager, I can't even imagine what effect it would have had on me. So I think about that a lot. I also think about people who maybe never stop and think about what it's like for someone who's fat. Because one of the things happened with the book is that I had people say, I never could really imagine what it was like to be a fat person, everything a fat person goes through, till I read the book. And I do think a book is a little bit more intimate in a way because you can get into somebody's head in a way that you can't in other mediums. Mm-hmm. But I still think the TV show can make people perhaps reflect on that, the experience of fat people, that is such a maligned group in our culture, and to have perhaps more empathy for people. So that's my hope. There are different audiences that are all going to take different things away from it. And, I guess if there are people who just don't care about any of that, they just want pure entertainment, that's fine too, if that's what they want. So
as long as they're getting subliminal messages that, we need more plums in the world and we need to
exactly
let them express their power. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I share your hopes and dreams. And we were talking earlier about social media. I also anticipate that, people will devour the show and process it and will use their analysis skills and writing skills to help connect the dots for those who might not be quite getting it. So we will all jump in and help you accomplish these goals.
Yeah, it's so great. It's just happening on such a big scale, it's just, so yeah, I'd be interested to see what the reaction is, what people write about it, and all of that. Mm-hmm. Part of the adventure this summer. It's like 9 weeks of Dietland. It's a 10 episodes, but on June 4th, it's the first 2 episodes are back to back. So it's 9 weeks. So 9 weeks of Dietland this summer is pretty amazing.
Which positively correlates with about how long people will last on their first diet, right? No, stop. Hopefully the end of episode 1, they'll be like, that's it. I'm done. I'm giving it up.
The dieting scenes are funny, the dieting company, and you'll like that.
I am going to love it because I lived it since 9 years old. So I know I'm going to love it. And at the same time, maybe be grateful for how far I've been able to come. And just as a mom of 2 young girls myself, just remind myself of the importance of everything I do to help them become more compassionate and confident, and kind human beings. Yes, to themselves and also to everyone else in the world. So no pressure on you, but that's what I'm hoping watching it.
Well, the fact that you're so excited, I love that you're so excited about it. So I think you're really going to love it. It's going to be such a thrill to see it, I think. So I love the excitement that's building about it. It's really cool. It's really fun.
And then I heard some news recently. There's going to be a TV, like a talk show after the episodes air. Or can you tell me more about that? I just read an article about something connected to Dietland that was more like a talk show format. Is that true?
Yeah. So AMC shows like The Walking Dead, they often have those Talking Dead and Talking Back or whatever, those kind of like, I guess, half-hour shows after, for the fans and everything. So that's what I thought. I knew there was going to be an after show for Dietland, and that's what I thought it was going to be, just a half-hour show, and they'd have actors come on and, stuff like that. But it's actually going to be an hour-long talk show that's going to air after every episode, hosted by Aisha Tyler, who is amazing. Ooh, yeah. And it's a talk show that's going to be about the issues in the show. So Me Too movement and body image and feminism and just all these things. They'll have actors on and people involved with the show, but it'll also just be looking at these issues in a serious way. So I just couldn't believe it when I found that out. I was just like, wow, an hour-long talk show after each episode. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, not only is that amazing, but how we've just been talking about this needing to translate into actual positive change in our world. I think that is a perfect vehicle, really, to carry it forward. And let's hope that just enhances all the possible benefits that we can get from your work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like, it just blew my mind. I was like, this is so cool. I mean, so it's like having this conversation, and like the show is, fiction. And then after the show, nonfiction. It's like looking at it from these different angles and different lenses. So it's just, it's really amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited for both. I can't wait to tune in, DVR, binge watch, like you said, absorb it all. So besides the show, I mean, I know you're busy with it, but you're still writing. Can you share anything else, like what's going on in your writing world, or any other exciting projects that you might be wanting to update us on?
Yeah, so I live in Los Angeles now. I came out here to work in the writer's room for the show, and then I decided to stay on out here. So I'm writing a new novel, and that's coming along in an interesting way. But then I'm also developing a pitch for a TV show, like for a TV series. Nothing to do with Dietland, just a totally original series. So I've written the pitch, and I have a manager, and we're getting ready to go out with that. So I'm really excited about that. This is a new thing for me. I never really thought about writing for TV before, but Dietland, opened up a lot of doors for me. So yeah, so I'm kind of involved in different projects, but everything that I work on, whether it's a novel, whether it's a TV show, they all have to do with gender and the different ways of women. And, that's really what I like to write about. So they all kind of have these common threads through them. But with each project, I kind of get to look at it in a new way. So it's exciting, to think that I can expand and move on from Dietland and do some other things as well. But Dietland, of course, is what everyone knows me for.
Absolutely. Well, and we need to see more great stuff from you, and maybe one day a movie. Are we still thinking that that's on the radar for you?
You mean just like an original screenplay?
Well, whatever you feel like writing.
Yeah, I can't imagine Dietland would ever be a movie, but hey, I guess you never know. But I'd love to write a screenplay too. So yeah, I just think that, coming out here and working the TV show kind of helped me think. I always was thinking of myself as a novelist before, like that's my thing, novels. But now I'm thinking of myself more as a storyteller. I'm thinking about ways I can tell stories in different mediums, not just novels. So yeah, I'm kind of broadening the way that I think about the ways that I tell stories, and these kind of radical stories about women, which is what I'm really interested in. So so I kind of expanded that view, and I'm really excited about that new direction.
I love that. And I'm not going to stop following you, but how can others connect and find and follow you and all that good stuff so that we know what you're up to?
Well, I have a Facebook page, author page. I have Instagram and Twitter. So do you want me to share the names? Or kind of, my name's kind of difficult to spell, but I think people can find me. Actually, the easiest thing, go to SaraiWalker.com, Sarai Walker.com. And that has links to all of my accounts, and it has all of these articles on the website, like interviews I've done and stuff about the TV show. And so that's kind of your one-stop place to go. And then you can find links to everything else.
Wonderful. Well, we will do that, and we will watch all your success unfold with Dietland, the TV show, and then whatever else happens next with all your endeavors. Thank you so much for coming on the show today and talking with me. It was so fun to have you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I had so much fun chatting. I'm glad we got to do this. Thanks a lot.
And that's a wrap on today's show. Let's continue the conversation on Facebook. Just search Body Kindness Podcast and click to join. And if you can contribute to the production costs for the 2018 podcast season, visit gofundme.com/bodykindness. We love ratings and reviews. Please do that. And don't forget to let your friends know that Body Kindness is one of your can't miss podcasts. If you have questions, comments, or guest recommendations, shoot me an email, Rebecca@bodykindnessbook.com.